God of War Ragnarok is one of the best games I've ever played and one of the greatest games of all time. It follows up 2018's God of War with such grace and finesse, it definitely earns the moniker of amazing sequel. Which is funny because in some ways it doesn't truly feel like a sequel. It feels like a continuation of the first game, a part 2, if you will. Now, let me explain a little bit as to why that is. The evolutions and leaps made in God of War Ragnarok are more story and character based than they are gameplay based. A lot of the actions and combat you will do in this game are very much copy and paste experiences from the first game. With the Blades of Chaos being something accessible from the very beginning of the game, you're not tied down to a single weapon from the get-go, allowing you to play how you want and swap between them. Well, myself personally, I would not get off the Blades of Chaos. I was reliving those original God of War trilogy Kratos moments from the very beginning and had heaps of fun doing it. So in saying that, the combat doesn't take a massive leap forward, it takes more of a joyful step, and it's still some of the most fun you can have in gaming today. And that's not to say that it hasn't evolved slightly, with the addition of new combos and moves unlocked as the game continues, and a brand new weapon that I won't talk about as it's very important to the story. So in short, God of War combat is still great, as are a lot of the enemies you'll be facing, some returning and some brand new. With Ragnarok looming on the horizon, Kratos and Atreus travel to some very interesting and beautiful new realms. A personal highlight being the realm of the dwarves. One minute you'll be fighting some weird frogman, trying to get back to your boat. Next, you'll be admiring the construction of the towns, only to be attacked by his guardians. The enemy variety is varied and interesting, no matter where you are in the realms. Traversal has also had a major upgrade. Now you still have your trusty boat to get you and your son around the place, which is a welcome return, but with the blades being available from the get-go, you'll find yourself zipping around the place using the blades as a sort of grapple, leading to new areas and just a new fun way to get around, as well as new arenas to fight in. Your feet no longer feel glued to the ground in combat, with the ability to zip away and drop down on your enemies, which just leads to cool new ways to do battle. And that's just talking about fighting the minions. Boss fights are back, and there's even more of them, and they're better than before. From a fight with Thor, to a Dreki, to the Valkyrie replacements, the Dead Kings, boss fights truly haven't been better. Now, to the story. I feel before I can talk about the story, I need to talk a little about myself. Don't worry, this won't take long, but back when I played the original God of War in 2018, I thought it was one of the best games I've ever played. It felt new and fresh, and the story was an interesting way to take Kratos. I was living at my own home, I had a girlfriend and a job, and played video games every spare second I had. Now with the release of God of War Ragnarok, I'm in a very different place in my life. I'm now married with 2 kids and have since gone back and played God of War 2018 and didn't realize all the little moments that I'd missed. Now being a father myself, I was able to empathize a lot more with Kratos and understand the journey that he was going through a lot more than I did back when I played it in the day. So going into God of War Ragnarok, I knew I was going to be experiencing this game a little bit different to my friends around me. Now as a gamer, God of War Ragnarok is amazing. The story introduces some badass characters and interesting conflicts. But as a father looking at the story of a father and son, this game is a masterpiece. The little intricacies and moments, and if you've played the story, you know one moment I'm talking about, the moment in the tent towards the end of the game. God of War Ragnarok just hits me on a whole new level now. I'm not saying you need to be a parent in order for this game to hit, but what I am saying that if you are a parent, I think it will just hit you in a different way. It's one of the few games out there that really takes the relationship that Kratos has with his son and puts it under a microscope. Not many games really do that. Now, is Kratos the perfect dad? No. Is Atreus the perfect child? Absolutely not. What kid is? But what the game does masterfully is that even though these 2 characters have massive faults, the love they have for each other always shines through, even though the words "I love you" are never spoken. I feel like that's lost on some people. So many people saying that it shouldn't be called God of War anymore, it should be called God of Peace. Kratos isn't the same crazy, angry, revenge-seeking god that I wanted to come back, but that's because the people making this game aren't the same angry young 22 to 27-year-olds that made the original trilogy. They too have gone on and had families, evolved, grown, and are trying to tell that story through Kratos. Thinking back to it now, I too was one of those people that thought, man, Kratos has really changed, and I'm not sure if it's for the better. But being able to sit back and truly look at it for what it is, I think I would be disappointed now if Kratos had stayed the exact same character. Character development is a big part of not just video game space, but life in general. And why shouldn't the video game characters that we grew up with evolve with us as people? People out there saying that this isn't the same Kratos just don't understand. If you want the murderous revenge-seeking god, you can have him. You can go back and play the original God of War trilogy. He's always going to be there for you. He's yours. And one day, when you grow up a bit and come back and play these new God of War games in the future, you'll realize Kratos grew. He just did it before you did. The story of Kratos and Atreus is one of the best in gaming, and quite possibly might be one of the best stories that's ever been told in media. It's heartfelt, action-packed, and one hell of a ride, and I do truly believe this has something for everyone. The game may feel like more of a continuation to the original God of War than it is a sequel, but when your first game is already a masterpiece, what more can you do than continue? That's why I can say without a shadow of a doubt in my mind that God of War Ragnarok is a masterpiece. From story, to amazing combat, beautiful world, and well-performed characters. On the 1-up scale, God of War Ragnarok is a 10 out of 10.